The American economy is in that spot.
The dock workers are no longer going to see
less jobs for the dock workers, less truckers, and overall in the logistics supply chain.
That's peanuts compared to energy. I don't know, when you say strollers are going up, we're making a lot of money. We're doing great.
They said it couldn't happen again, that we'd learn our lesson after 2020. After the shelves went empty and shipping containers sat frozen offshore like abandoned toys. But here we are, back in the storm. Except this time it's a little different. There's no virus, there's no lockdowns. This time it's purely self-inflicted. The American economy is mid-fall, not just slipping.
The American economy, like our friend Mr. Coyote, is in that spot, in stasis, hovering before a likely plunge.
And the rest of us, we're strapped into the same roller coaster, whether we bought a ticket or not. From Ontario to Vancouver, Halifax to Calgary, our shelves, our supply chains, and our wallets are about to get wrecked.
People involved in shipping, imports, and supply chain planning and economics are making themselves very loud and very clear today.
Right now, imports to the US from China have, in the words of shipping execs, essentially seized. Not slowed down, not trickling, seized. One port director said arrivals could drop by 35% in a matter of days.
Jean Soroka, executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, suggesting arrivals could drop by 35% this week or next, as shipments out of China have, quote, essentially ceased.
Another said they were expecting 17 ships this week and only 3 showed up.
hauling 4 or 5 containers today. Next week, she probably hauls 2 or 3. The dock workers are no longer going to see overtime and double shifts. They're going to probably work less than a traditional work week, starting right off the bat. Every 4 containers mean a job. So when we start dialing this back, it's less job opportunities.
That's a 50% crash at one of the most important shipping gateways in the world. And we're already seeing it ripple out. In fact, the Port of Los Angeles publicly confirmed a projected 35 drop in cargo from Asia. That's not just a hearsay, it's documented. According to Reuters, this sharp decline is directly linked to the latest round of US tariffs, which have sent shockwaves through the logistics industry. The de minimis rule, which used to let you order stuff under $800 from overseas without paying duty, is now gone as of May 2nd. That change hits platforms like Temu and Shein the hardest, and consumers are the ones who eat the cost.
Bookings are about almost a 50% reduction. So if you're an importer, you're not going to send your goods to the United States until you have some clarity and then clarity on the tariffs. Because right now, if you're shipping goods from China, you're subject to a 145% tax.
Experts say we could see price hikes of up to 30% on everyday items. That's massive. And here's another number to chew on. The US trade deficit surged to a record $140.5 billion in March of 2025. That's a 14% spike in a single month. Why? Because importers were scrambling to get ahead of the tariff hikes. It's panic buying at a national level. It's not just some far-off American port issue. This matters here because guess where most of our stuff comes through before it hits Canada's stores? Yep, the US. From appliances to auto parts, toys to tech, the disruption in California is about to show up in your Amazon cart and at your local grocery store. And it's not just about the stuff, it's about the people behind the scenes. Every 4 containers equals 1 job. So fewer containers, fewer shifts, less overtime, more layoffs. Truckers are already seeing a massive drop. Dock workers are losing hours, warehouse crews are getting squeezed. We haven't even hit the worst part of it yet.
Less container volumes, less jobs for the dock workers, less truckers, and overall in the logistics supply chain.
So what triggered all of this? In 2 words, Trump's tariffs. We're talking about a full-blown trade war 2.0. Overnight, tariffs on imports from China spiked. Some goods hit with duties of up to 145%. That's not a typo. A $170 pair of shoes from China now costs $350.
That if you ordered through an e-commerce company in China, a pair of tennis shoes for about $175, the de minimis rule is no longer applicable. So that shoe now has gone up from $175 to approximately $350. That gives you the magnitude of the price increase that we're talking about.
And now, thanks to closed loopholes, you're not skipping out on those charges either. Meanwhile, Trump's response, that's peanuts. No, really, he said that. Dolls and strollers, they're peanuts. Compared to energy,
some prices are going up. Tires, strollers, some clothing in the wake of your tariffs.
Excuse me, that's peanuts compared to energy.
So tell that to every parent who just watched their grocery bill spike, their kids' shoes double in price, and their rent stayed just as high. The man actually brushed off a reporter questioning about rising prices by saying gasoline was thousands of times more important than a stroller.
Energy is 60% of the cost.
But sir, you
energy is the big.
You campaigned on a promise to bring prices down on day
Well, I don't know. When
one.
you say strollers are going up, what kind of a thing? I'm saying that gasoline is going down. Gasoline is thousands of times more important than a stroller or something.
Okay, let's talk about that for a moment. Because families aren't driving to work on gasoline fumes alone. They're buying groceries, school supplies, basic essentials. And now they're paying more for all of it.
What do you say to Americans who say they voted for you because they want and they need relief right now?
And they're getting it.
Right now? What about those
even mortgage rates?
different items I just
Mortgage
mentioned?
rates are going down despite the fact that we have a stubborn Fed.
But you said dolls, even dolls could cost a couple bucks more.
Maybe they might, but you don't need to have, as I said, $35. You can have 2, 3, 4 and save a lot of money. We don't need to feed the beast.
Thanks to a policy that Trump somehow claims is making a lot of money.
How long should people expect that transition to last, Mr. President?
I can't tell you that. I can tell you that we're making a lot of money. We're doing great.
Who's we exactly? Because it's not the trucker who just lost a shift, or the retail worker whose store can't stock shelves, or the small business owner who's getting crushed by import costs. This isn't patriotism. It's economic vandalism with a flag slapped on it. Let me break this down. The US ports of Long Beach and LA are seeing cargo volumes drop by 35 to 40%. And that's just the beginning.
So what is happening now, after Long Beach being the #1 port in containerized cargo for the first quarter of 2025, we are looking to a 35 or even a 40% reduction. And let me give you a number to support that.
More than 70 cargo sailings have already been canceled. That's a worse hit than the worst part of the pandemic.
You know, between the two ports at this complex, we've had 70 canceled sailings, and that number exceeds the worst scenario in the COVID crisis.
And now, with imports being held back in China and American businesses too spooked to make new bookings, we're looking at weeks, if not months, of total chaos.
Well, we are in this globalized supply chain, so it's going to take a few weeks to bounce back.
Even if a deal is made today, it will take a month for anything to move again. 2 weeks to reload the ships in China, another 2 to cross the Pacific. And during that whole time, no new stock, no new inventory, and no new jobs.
If we get a deal, it's going to take about a month. Let me walk you through that real quick. About 2 weeks to get the ships repositioned around these major ports, from Qingdao to Shanghai to Xiamen, load up all those containers, and then another 2 weeks to steam across the Pacific to get to us. This is important because now we're talking about spring and summer fashion. So we're kind of at a crux here that we've got to have something pretty quick.
And if you think this only affects Americans, think again. Canadian businesses rely on that infrastructure just as much. A massive amount that we import passes through the US ports. Our supply chains are deeply linked by highways, railways, warehouses, and customs zones. When they sneeze, we catch the cold too. When they collapse, we get crushed right along with them. Canada sends roughly 75% of our exports to the US. If they stall out, we stall out as well. And Canadian companies, they're already scrambling to find other markets because the cost of doing business across the border just spiked. Even our economy is showing the strain. The US contracted by 0.3% in Q1 of 2025, and it's largely being blamed on this very trade chaos. Economists aren't guessing. They're saying it's outright. And if the US economy shrinks, Canada always gets hit too. So if you're wondering why your Home Depot order is delayed, or why your grocery bill just jumped $20, or why your new phone case is suddenly out of stock, this is the reason why. And if you're still with us, halfway through, I really appreciate you. I'm serious. If you like content that actually explains what's going on in plain language, please hit that like button and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It helps me a lot and it lets me keep doing this without sugarcoating the news. Alrighty, so we're watching a perfect storm form and everyone seems to be pretending it's fine. But the numbers don't lie. You can't cancel 70 cargo ships and pretend it's business as usual. Even big box stores are feeling it. Walmart, Target, and Amazon are already making changes. They're cutting orders, reevaluating stock plans, and bracing for impact. And for Canada, where so much of our retail sector rides the wave of American supply chains, this could get ugly fast.
We're making a lot of money. We're doing great.
So when Trump says we're doing great, what this really means is it's great for me. It's not great for working families. It's not great for global stability. And it sure as in heck isn't great for Canadian mom who just found out her kid's school's backpack is now 80 instead of 40. So this isn't some abstract economic theory. It's real people paying the price for political stunts. It's economic pain masquerading as strength. And if anyone tells you that this is temporary, ask them what happened last time. Ask them how long it took to clean up the supply chain mess from 2020. This could take months, possibly years. And here's the kicker. None of this even solves the original problem. Tariffs aren't fixing inflation. They're not reshoring jobs. They're not rebuilding industries. All they're doing is making it more expensive to live. And the worst part, we've seen this show before. 2018, 2019, Trump raised tariffs, China retaliated, and prices jumped. Jobs disappeared, farmers needed bailouts, and now he's doing it again, except this time it's turbocharged. Look, we're not saying trade policy doesn't matter, but using it like a sledgehammer doesn't make you strong. It just makes everyone else bleed. Well, anyways, the American economy is hanging midair and gravity is bound to get the best of it. But Canadians, we're not just spectators. We're standing close enough to feel the pain of it all. And we honestly deserve to know exactly why. Okay, folks, thanks for sticking with me. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who could benefit from this information. It means a lot to me. Thanks so much for watching.